On 5 News, Sam speaks out. The former England boss who quit last night admits he was silly but says he was also tricked.
Unfortunately, it was an error in judgment on my behalf and I paid the consequences. But, entrapment is one on this occasion and I have to accept that.
And there's more damning allegations. This Italian agent says corruption's rife in English football. So has the beautiful game turned ugly, also tonight. Jeremy Corbyn wows the party faithful at the Labour conference, but did he do enough to win over ordinary Labour voters? Investigators say the missile which downed a civilian airliner with nearly 300 people on board was brought in from Russia. Ready, steady, cook. A new push to make sure children know their way around the kitchen. And
Brian, you're a lucky man. Elizabeth, you've done well for yourself.
Hanks for everything, the A-list wedding crasher who got a very warm welcome. Hello and welcome to 5 News. I'm Sian Williams. It was an error of judgment, a silly thing to do, and now, said Sam Allardyce today, I've paid the consequences. The former England manager was talking about the newspaper sting that caught him out and forced him to quit after just 67 days. He apologised to those he had let down, but said he'd fallen victim to entrapment. Well, today, revelations emerged about other top managers in English football with claims they took bribes. Julian Drucker reports.
Big Sam made a big mistake. Today he spoke for the first time and expressed regret about the newspaper sting that cost him the England job.
I think that, on reflection, it was a silly thing to do, but just to let everybody know, I sort of helped out what was somebody I'd known for 30 years, and unfortunately it was an error in judgment on my behalf, and I paid the consequences. But entrapment is one on this occasion, and I have to accept that.
Was that your last job in football, though?
Who knows? We won't see. Next time.
His 67 days as England manager has ended in disgrace. Filmed apparently trying to broker a £400,000 deal and advising what turned out to be undercover reporters how to evade strict player transfer rules. He apologised to his bosses at the Football Association last night. They described his conduct as inappropriate, and his contract was ended by mutual consent. But it's now alleged 8 past and present Premier League managers apparently received illicit payments for transfers. And just listen to what this Italian agent told an undercover Telegraph journalist about English football.
There's one thing that I've always been able to rely on, and that is the greed of general managers.
But even here, what about when it comes to
Here it's even worse.
Is it?
I thought that the Italians would put up, trust me, the English.
So what did the executive chairman of the Premier League have to say as he today launched an initiative to inspire disabled people through sport?
We'll not go into that today. We will, of course, deal with that in the fullness of time. It's a bit early. I was up very early this morning, and I did, of course, see the headlines. And yeah, it doesn't do our game any good.
For ex-Premier League star Owen Hargreaves, the sort of corruption being alleged is not something he ever witnessed.
I've never seen that or experienced that. It's a shame, and even for Sam, it was his dream job, and he never even got to walk out onto Wembley. So I think there's an example for us all in there to learn. But I never saw anything like that as a player.
In some parts, a day of sorrow for Sam.
I like Sam. I know that was the dream job, and I feel very sorry for it.
But questions are growing about the size and scale of the scandal surrounding our most popular sport.
Well, Julian, the FA's in a bit of a mess at the moment, isn't it? How does it get itself out of it?
Well, it has to find a new England manager. Even bigger than that, though, is how the FA and the Premier League reacts to this crisis. It's now a political crisis as well, Sian. The MP, Damien Collins, from the Culture, Media and Sports Select Committee, has been critical. He questions why it took journalists to expose this. Why weren't the FA across it, he asked? Why weren't the FA exposing this kind of thing? And those allegations continue. So there are 8 past or present Premier League managers who apparently received payments. We don't know who they are. 5 of them have denied it. 3 of them are yet to comment. And the FA, of course, has to find a replacement for Sam Allardyce. Not clear yet if they've done any sort of list at this stage, but clearly at the moment they have bigger things to deal with.
Julian, thank you. It's been a while since a Labour leader addressed a party conference and used the word socialism so proudly and so frequently. Jeremy Corbyn said his version of socialism was everyone working together, and he got a big cheer when he appealed for an end to the trench warfare that's riven the party. In a speech that lasted an hour, Mr Corbyn also tackled immigration, saying he would not offer false promises on numbers. Our political editor Andy Bell is at the conference in Liverpool.
Labour should feel right at home in Liverpool, but the city is changing and the party has been too. So what do they think here of the man set to lead Labour into the next election?
He's not strong enough. He's just not strong enough.
But do you like what he has to say?
Oh God, yeah.
Since he came? You joined the Conservatives?
Yes, I have.
What would you like to hear him talking about?
I'd like him to express those goals as something the Labour Party should be striving for. You know, that socialism and equality. You know, those old ideas.
Well, many in this hall appeared to want the same. Jeremy Corbyn began by mocking the claims of Theresa May to champion ordinary people.
Who seriously believes that the Tories could ever stand up to the privileged few? They are the party of the privileged few.
Not everyone was carried away. This was the London Mayor's reaction as he was congratulated by his leader. Jeremy Corbyn then made a point of praising those MPs who had joined his team when others had quit.
And this conference should thank them today. They are our future.
On immigration, he praised the work migrants do and refused to promise a cut in numbers.
That is the Labour way to tackle social tension. Investment and assistance, not racism and division.
He said he wanted a national investment bank and a national education service. Many have criticised him as a throwback. This was his answer today.
This is not backward looking, this is very much the opposite. It's the socialism of the 21st century.
He put his party on an election footing and his opponents on notice that they must back him.
And let's be frank, no one will be convinced of a vision promoted by a divided party. We all agree on that. So I ask each and every one of you to accept the decision of the members, end the trench warfare and work together to take on the Tories.
There was a message of unity here, but it felt very much like unity on his terms. But judging by the support he undoubtedly has here, he probably feels justified in pursuing that.
At Labour, the red flag is definitely back in fashion. They just have to convince the country to sing along.
We'll keep the red flag flying here.
Now, Andy, we spoke about those party rifts last night, and I wonder whether today's speech will help heal them.
Well, the rifts are certainly still there. Make no mistake, there are still MPs, even some party members who believe that Jeremy Corbyn is taking their party towards disaster. But I was in that hall. There's no doubt there is enormous enthusiastic support for Jeremy Corbyn from most of the membership. And right now, despite that opposition that still exists within his party, I don't see his leadership or frankly even his authority being directly challenged for some time.
Andy, thank you. A man has been arrested on suspicion of murder after 2 shop workers were found dead in the centre of Cardiff. The bodies of the man and woman were discovered early this morning. The clothing chain Matalan has confirmed they were employees of the company. Police say they believe the suspect knew them. The former Israeli president Shimon Peres has died at the age of 93, 2 weeks after suffering a stroke. He also served twice as prime minister. In 1994, he won a Nobel Peace Prize for his role in negotiating peace accords with the Palestinians. And a young girl in the American city of Charlotte has delivered an emotional speech about police shootings. Ziana Oliphant addressed a city council meeting just over a week after Keith Lamont Scott was killed by officers there. She spoke tearfully about how it felt growing up as an African American.
We are black people, and we shouldn't have to feel like this. We shouldn't have to protest because y'all are treating us wrong. We do this because we need to and have rights.
It's 2 years since Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 carrying nearly 300 people was blown out of the sky. Today, a team of investigators confirmed it was a Russian missile fired from a part of Ukraine held by pro-Russian rebels that brought the plane down. What they didn't say, though, was who ordered it to happen, and as Peter Lane reports, that leaves victims' families still waiting for justice.
Piece by piece, the wreckage of MH17 was reconstructed, and last year investigators announced the passenger jet had been brought down by a Russian-made Buk missile as it flew over disputed eastern Ukraine on its way from Amsterdam to Malaysia. The next step, to determine where the missile was fired from that killed all 298 passengers and crew. Today, investigators said evidence from witnesses, videos, photos, satellites and intercepted phone calls all pointed to a farmland location held by pro-Russian rebel fighters.
And this Buk Taylor was brought in from the territory of the Russian Federation and after launch was subsequently returned to the Russian Federation territory.
The team released a map showing the route they claim the launcher took through villages held by pro-Russian forces after the missile was fired. They animated how it was put onto a low loader with only 3 of its original 4 missiles left, and said that later in the journey this camera picked up the low loader carrying the launcher back towards the Russian border. 28-year-old Liam Sweeney was among those who died on MH17. His father says today's report helps, but it's not a full picture.
We don't know why MH17 was targeted. I've got a feeling it was a mistake. The plane was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but somebody needs to be accountable. It's a big jigsaw still. I've still got this jigsaw in my head, and I'm just feeling that there's going to be that one little bit that's not going to fit, and that's the end, and why.
Russia has again denied that any of its missiles were taken into Ukraine and called the report politically motivated. Investigators say they know the missile, they now know the launch site, and that the next challenge is finding out who gave the order to fire. Peter Lane, 5 News.
And still to come on the programme. Get kids cooking, a new push to make sure children know their way around the kitchen, and a special guest on a special day, the welcome wedding crasher who made this couple's year. All that and more after the break. Hello and welcome back. You're watching 5 News. Too many elderly and vulnerable hospital patients in England are being sent home in the middle of the night before they're ready to leave. A report has highlighted cases including a 93-year-old woman who died in her granddaughter's arms after being discharged too soon. Dominic Reynolds has been hearing another family's tragic story.
Christmas Day at Mum's house.
Whole family?
Whole family, all her grandchildren there. Mum right in the middle, yeah.
When Angela remembers her mum, she looks back a few years. Pam's final year, Angela wants to forget. In her 80s, Pam's health was failing, but after every spell in hospital, she was sent home. 5 times she was discharged. 3 of those times, it was Angela who found her.
One morning I got there and she'd fallen down. She had a head wedged between the back door and a cupboard, and she'd been like that all night. And she couldn't move.
And this is someone who's just been discharged from hospital?
Yes, yeah.
Apparently okay to look after themselves?
She was never okay to look after herself at any stage. I mean, now I could cry, then I couldn't. You just go on with it, and just you can't believe that people can be so unkind, really. No, she didn't deserve that.
But Angela's story isn't as rare as it should be, according to a committee of MPs. They say unsafe discharge is at unacceptable levels, that cuts to social care are leaving gaps in the system.
One of the big problems here is, of course, while the health service spending has been protected,
local government spending on social services has been cut. And it's their left hand and the right hand here. There are two different organisations, and we call this political maladministration.
The Department of Health told us today the answer to unsafe discharge is bringing together social care and health. And that, they say, is what they're already doing. By the end, Angela says she and her mum just wanted the suffering to stop.
Well, you get to a stage when you think, I just want to see the end of this yourself. As awful as that sounds, because you can't see it ever getting any better. You know your parents getting to the end of their life, but it would be nice if you could be supported a bit. No.
That it doesn't have to be that difficult?
No, it doesn't have to be that awful.
Today's report suggests this family's experience is a symptom that social care shortages mean some vulnerable people end up with nowhere safe to go. Dominic Reynolds, 5 News.
Junior doctors in England have lost a legal challenge against their new contracts. A group of doctors went to the High Court claiming the changes were unsafe and unsustainable, but it's been ruled that the Health Secretary has acted within his powers to push NHS trusts to introduce them. Now, when you were growing up, were you able to boil an egg or peel a potato? It sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? But you would be surprised with how few children can manage it today. A new survey has revealed how many lack basic culinary skills, let alone the ability to cook a meal. And often it's down to us, the parents' fault. Minnie Stevenson found out what one group of pupils make of that.
Welcome to the Year 9 Pizzeria. At the Cooper's Company in Coburn School in Essex, there is a stone-baked bake-off going on. But while cooking may be compulsory on the curriculum until the age of 14, new research has revealed that our busy lives mean essential skills in the kitchen are being lost because children are not being given the chance to learn at home with their families. A survey of UK parents found that 80% wish they had more time to cook with their kids, while 94% consider cooking a vital life skill, yet 60% of parents never cook a meal from scratch with their children. And by the age of 11, 44% of kids haven't ever boiled an egg. Celebrity chefs say cooking needs to start at home.
Parents haven't been taught to cook over the last 2 or 3 generations, so a lot of people in this country don't know how to cook. We need to get domestic science teachers back into the education system.
Back at Pizza Base Camp, the pressure is rising. Meet the school's master chef, Sue Regan, who's taught cookery here for 25 years and says there is an age-old problem.
I think children don't learn to cook either at home or at primary school anymore. So when they come to a secondary school like this, we have to really start from scratch.
And now time to consult our miniature master chefs.
If we didn't have the cooking lessons and it was just at home, I don't think I'd know enough to really get through and have a variety of dishes.
And what is your speciality apart from the sweet corn pizza?
Fajitas.
Fajitas? Are they very good?
I've been told.
How important do you think it is to get the basics down at a young age?
It's really important because then they know what to do and they can help out and it can be passed through generations.
If you make time, there's always time to do it, but yeah, it can get quite busy, especially at school when you have loads of after-school clubs and things like that.
You've got a busy schedule?
Yeah.
Although the pizzas are now ready to serve here, it seems when school's out in Britain, so's cooking. Minnie Stevenson, 5 News.
As wedding photos go, it's not bad, is it? Yes, next to the happy couple is Tom Hanks. That photo was taken by the star himself. He just happened to be jogging through New York's Central Park where the newlyweds were having their professional snaps taken and decided to be an uninvited special guest. Layla Hayes has the story.
You want to jump at that, yeah. When it comes to wedding surprises, this couple may just have the edge. Not everyone gets their wedding snaps gate-crashed by a Hollywood A-lister.
My daughter was in. What's your name? Brian. Oh, Brian, you're a lucky man. Elizabeth, you've done well for yourself.
The Oscar-winning actor was out for a jog in New York's Central Park when he saw the happy couple and stopped to offer his blessing, even joking he could perform their ceremony.
You know, I am a ordained minister. If the guy cancels, just let me know. I get a selfie.
After taking a selfie with the newlyweds, Tom Hanks then posted his photo on Twitter, sharing it with more than 12 million followers, with the message, Elizabeth and Ryan, congrats and blessings, Hanks. And it's not the first time the star has shown his fun side. This was Hanks posing with a seemingly intoxicated fan in a restaurant. The photos later went viral. And he helped this student who lost her ID card by tweeting this message, promising his office would send it back.
Congratulations. All right, bye-bye.
The clearly delighted bride and groom are said to have invited the actor to their reception, but sadly he couldn't make it. And after posing with a rather bemused bridesmaid and page boy, Tom Hanks was off, leaving the newlyweds to ponder what just happened. Professional wedding photos may be one thing, but this selfie will be hard to beat. Layla Hayes, 5 News.
Such a lovely guy. Before we go, Matt's here to tell us what's coming up in the programme.
I thought you were talking about me.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah, he is a lovely guy. At 6:30, we're looking at how England's national sport became a national scandal. Big Sam might have gone now, but the allegations about corruption elsewhere in the sport just keep on coming. I'll be talking to football agent John Smith about where it's all gone wrong. Plus, the extraordinary story of the widow who was forced to go to court in a battle over frozen embryos so she can have the chance to have her late husband's child. And we've heard about the attempts to get more kids cooking, but would you let your children loose in the kitchen? I'll be joined by TV chef Valentine Warner to talk about that, Sean.
Good. Look forward to that. Thanks, Matt. That is it for now. Sean Welby has the weather next. And I'll see you soon. Matt's back at 6:30. Thanks for watching tonight. Goodbye for now.